Okay, welcome everyone. And today I'm going to tell you what actually Russian studies are at in British universities. The Russian term for it is Rusistika. And I'm, as I was introduced, as Dr. Olga Makarova. I'm senior lecturer in Russian studies, and my PhD was about the Russian publishing tycoon of the 19th century, the Russian Rupert Murdoch. So, the talk will last for some 30 minutes, and you're welcome with your questions at the end of the presentation. You can type them in chat and we'll deal with them later. And so let's start. And the plan for today is to tell you what the Russian studies are and how Russian studies can be linked to native speakers of Russian or bilingual speakers. Then we'll look closer at university degree in Russian studies, and then we'll have just a quick look at universities that offer Russian studies in Britain, and that's basically it. And then we'll have some questions if you're willing to ask me more. So Russian studies is a big branch of multidisciplinary field, as you see, involving politics, history, culture, economics, and languages of Russia and its neighborhood. So you see, it's in the UK, it goes back to the 19th century when it was first introduced in Oxford and then at Cambridge. And since then, the state of the field has fluctuated in correspondence with the state of the relations between Russia and UK. At the moment, it is complicated, as we all know, but we know the historical evidence suggests that it's always been rather interesting, as per the famous quote of Winston Churchill. Russia is a riddle wrapped in mystery inside an enigma. And currently, in the current political situations, there is a greater demand in so-called Russianists or Kremlinologists, which is a kind of a branch within Russian studies. And there is a growing demand for experts in Russian matters, and probably MI5 and MI6 and GCHQ are hiring people now. And Russian Military Studies Center as well. So there is an opportunity for a very interesting career. A friend of mine who's a Russianist or Kremlinologist, he is the author of many books on Russian politics. He is very, very busy now. And so, okay, Russian studies is a university degree, but you are bilinguals or heritage speakers of Russian. How is this all connected? And you're looking at this slide, which shows you the breakdown of all levels of Russian, and they're following the standard scheme, European framework scheme, which shows you how many levels you can achieve in any language. And this is matched against Russian language, and you're looking at GCSE and A level, which you can do in schools, and they roughly correspond to basic level for GCSE and for intermediate level when it is A level, although you know, native speakers of Russian can be more advanced. Basically, we expect them to be at B1, B2, upper intermediate level. But what's next when you've finished your A level? Then if you want to continue, or you kind of developed your Russian on your own, and without going to the university, you can still consider a career with a Russian, but you need to confirm the level of your Russian. And what you're looking at, which is called TRKI, or Test of Russian as a foreign language. You can go to an independent institution and sit this test. Suppose you claim that you are advanced level in Russian, and they offer you the advanced level test. And if you run it, if you sit it successfully, then you will get a certificate. In Britain, there are some institutions offering these tests, like the one I know about is in Russian Language Center at Pushkin House in London. So this is separate from Russian studies, but that's for you, it's good for you to know. But if you're still considering a career involving Russian studies, so that's what we're going to move on. And we are now looking at Russian studies as a university degree. So now you're considering of career involving Russian language and culture. So, and you want to be called Kremlinologist or Russianist. Like, you know, the head of Russian at Queen Mary's Professor Jeremy Hicks. His title is Professor of Russian Culture and Film, and he's actually our graduate. So when you go to the university, first of all, you will do your undergraduate degree, which lasts for 3 or 4 years. Within this undergraduate degree, you can do a single honor degree if you want to really focus on one subject. You can focus on Russian studies as well, or better value for money maybe will be joint honors when you combine 2 subjects and 2 languages, for example. We'll talk about it in more detail. And also, you see this third option is in brackets. There are universities that do not offer language degrees, but they have language center where they offer a variety of languages, and you can find even Russian language. Like my friend works at the University of Westminster, and they have Russian at the language center, which is quite a popular subject, but students take it as an elective module, so to speak. They're not obliged to take it, they can take it, they can drop it, and it won't feature in their degree title, but it will be in their transcript of their graduate certificate. So it will be there containing the level that they managed to reach. So this is your undergraduate degree, but if you're feeling ambitious about continuing with whatever you are doing at the university, you can continue with postgraduate degree, which involves MA, Master of Arts, and then PhD if you're that ambitious. So there are kind of further options. And now we are looking at a university degree joint honors. So as I say, better value for money is joint honors. You can combine Russian, suppose you're talking about just Russian now, concentrating on it, with another language or more, it depends. You can combine it with linguistics, which is quite a popular joint honor these days, because linguists are now involved in developing artificial intelligence systems which work for all the languages. So Russian and linguistics is quite a popular combination at our university, because we have a very strong linguistics department. So you can combine it with film studies, with comparative literature, with politics, with history, with business management, with law, and And this is just a sample of combinations. When you're thinking of doing Russian studies with any university, of course, you should always check what combinations this or that university offer. For example, I know that Edinburgh University at some point, they offered a joint degree honor of mathematics and Russian. So you see that some exotic combinations are also available. And to give you another different idea of what can be combined with what, I just would like to show you a promo video. It's a brief video of 3.5 minutes of a very famous institution specializing in Russian studies, which is called School of Slavonic and East European Studies. It is with University College London, and I'll just play their promo video for you. It lasts for 3.5 minutes, as I said.
My name's Sarah Young. I'm a lecturer in Russian literature and language at UCL. I'm also the admissions tutor for degrees with languages and culture. We have lots of degrees with languages and culture at CEAS. And they're really divided into two different areas. The first is degrees with East European studies. These are degrees with the many languages you can learn at CEAS, in a huge range of languages, and you can do any of these languages in a degree with East European studies. So you learn the language, the culture of that country or area, and also the culture of the wider area of Central and Eastern Europe as well. So that's one side of the things that we do here. The other side is possibly the thing that people will be most familiar with is Russian. And we do a Russian studies degree where you can study Russian language alongside literature and culture, politics or history. And we also do, for both Russian and East European languages, we can do a joint degree with any of the modern languages that UCL offers, like French, German, Spanish, Italian. CESE is a really amazing institution because it has so many different languages on offer, and because it looks at the region of Central Eastern Europe and Russia from all sorts of different perspectives. And this is this sort of interdisciplinary nature of CESE is the thing that really, I think, is very attractive to students. It means you can be studying, for one class, you can be studying 19th century Russian philosophy. In the next class, you could be studying contemporary East European politics. And these things are all sort of put in together to make your degree. And it makes it a very exciting place to study. We start off with foundation courses that are quite broad and introductory in different ways. So in first year, for example, if you're doing a Russian studies degree, you might well be doing a course called the Russian short story, which may sound a little dry, but Russian short stories are really amazing. And that goes across 2 centuries. You start early 19th century, you finish more or less in the present day. What happens later on in second year, we tend to sort of you go deeper and look at the courses in more detail, look at the subjects in more detail. So, for example, we have one of the things that we specialise in for the second year is the 19th century for literature, which is really sort of where Russian literature all began. All sorts of different students come here. We're looking for students who are really interested in languages, who want to learn new languages. We offer our languages both from beginners level, so you don't need any prior knowledge, and from post A levels or equivalent. So if you're at either level, you could start to learn. You could come here to learn language, and that interest in language is really important. It's something that attracts a lot of people. There's nowhere in this country, and I think anywhere else in Europe, where you can study this whole range of languages.
Okay, thank you. That's our colleague's promo video. Excuse me. Sorry, I need to stop it and I need to switch the slide. And now you're looking at the entire list of British universities offering Russian studies. It is arranged so that the first 3 universities are the leading institution in Russian studies, of course, very high rank, and you see Cambridge, Oxford, and UCL, as you've just heard. The rest of the list, I put them in alphabetic order because when you are thinking of choosing a university, of course, you need to choose their current rank. There's a table ranking universities, so they change from year to year. So you see geography is quite varied, and you can have a quick look. They come in alphabetic order, as I say. And just checking your geography, I have a question. What is missing here? Any ideas? You're all muted, but you probably noticed that no Russian studies, you can find no Russian studies in Wales or in Northern Ireland. So you have to stick to Britain and Scotland. So the University of St Andrews is one of the leading centres in St Andrews. And the important point to say here is that not all universities offer special separate path for heritage or native speakers of Russian. You need to check and double check it, like our university does. So to find this out, you need to either request a prospectus when you're shopping around, when you're browsing universities, or visit their open days to get to know more about this university. And that reminds me, the nearest open day at Queen Mary University of London is very soon. It's on the 8th of October, Saturday. So you can still, I think, get registered for it and visit it. It's partially online and offline. So that's how you find out what can be offered in this or that university. And now, after this list, we've seen that Queen Mary is on the list. So I will show you, if you're thinking about Russian studies, doing studies at the university, what to expect. And Queen Mary is just an example of what can be found in other universities. Of course, there will be variations. But if you go to Queen Mary, for example, to do Russian studies. And just for you to let you know that it belongs to the Russell Group University. There are 24 members in this group, and they call themselves world-class research intensive universities. So we are proud to be in this elite group. Within the university, you have Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. And within this faculty, you have our school, which is called School of Languages, Linguistics and Film. And within this school, there is a Department of Modern Languages and Cultures, and within this department there is a Russian subject area apart from other language areas. So you see it's quite a matryoshka style structure. And now you are here and you're doing Russian studies at Queen Mary University of London. So how can you organize your degree? You're within the Modern Languages and Cultures department. And as I mentioned previously, you can do Russian as a single honor. And it will sound as Russian BA, Bachelor of Arts. And currently, not too many students do it because you need to be really focused on what you would like to do. Currently, we are a small department, by the way, very small Russian subject area. There are some 30 students across all years and 4 teachers. And only 2 students, as far as I know, do Russian as a single honor. One definitely having an idea of making his career in Kremlinology. And apart from Russian, you can choose the languages, which are shown here, French, German, and Spanish. And when it comes to joint honors, which is a more popular combination, you can combine Russian with any language to choose from, French, German, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, and as of this year, we offer Chinese. And I can see that among new students, there are students who would like to do Russian and Chinese, which both are currently strategic languages, as they call them. And it's a Queen Mary specific, but in your second year, if you don't think you have the 2 languages are not enough, you can pick up yet one more language. We call them a minor language, although they're minor not in their significance, but in terms that the amount of language that you're going to take. So-called minor language, you see, they're very important. They're Catalan, Chinese, again, Mandarin, Japanese, Modern Arabic, and Portuguese. Because if you're doing this, you will start it in your second year. You won't reach the advanced level, as normally would take you to advanced level, but you will get to a good intermediate level if you work hard. So it won't feature in your degree title, but it will be again in your transcript confirming your level and the language that you did. So these are language options. And I'm advertising a new program offered just this year, and it's called Liberal Arts Degree, and it's involves 6 schools from the entire university. It involves our school, it involves Economics and Finance, English and Drama, School of Geography, School of History, and School of Politics and International Relations. That means that students take modules in all these schools, and there's a great flexibility with this degree, but it's all kind of goes along 3 themes or paths. So language and culture, where students more focusing on language, and they take the language throughout their program. That's compulsory for them. And 2 more paths or themes, so they're called global cultures and societies and cities, where language is not compulsory. So language is only compulsory in their first year. So it's a very interesting, very complicated, I mean, it's just difficult to pack everything in a few minutes. So if you get interested in that, you can visit our website. And language, liberal arts, also a popular degree in other universities. So you can compare and look up if you get interested. But suddenly it's very popular, and we recruited enough students to run this program, so we can see that there is a demand for this degree. Okay, so that's what we offer. And now, if you're a heritage speaker of Russian and come to Queen Mary, and we offer a program for heritage speakers of Russian, of course, all heritage speakers are different, so we kind of determine your actual level by offering you a placement text and then detecting your weaker kind of sides, your strongest sides, and then trying to compensate your weaknesses and enhance your strengths. And so what can you expect in our School of Languages, Linguistics and Film? You can combine Russian and with comparative literature, linguistics, film studies, and the languages that I've already mentioned. And you see there's 50-50% degree. That means that you get equal amount of modules in both parts. And as I also mentioned, you can have minor language in your second year. So that's within the School of Modern Language, Linguistics and Film. Other popular degrees in our university is Russian with Business Management. And you can see that the percentage is slightly different because we are kind of the home department for this program, and also Russian and Politics. Now we have quite a few of new students who would like to do Russian and Politics for the time currently, so the situation suggests, and you see there's more focus on politics, there's more modules you take in politics than in Russian, and Russian drama, why not? And okay, so now you decided to do one of those degrees, so what to expect in your Russian part of this degree, so Russian component in any of those degrees. So you will have so-called content modules. There will be content modules on Russian culture, Russian literature, and Russian film. And that means that content means that you get lectures in English delivered to you, and whatever assessment is there, like essays to write, you write them in English. But of course, if you're talking about Anna Karenina and you can read Russian, you are very much welcome to read it in Russian. But normally students, particularly in their first year, if they just started doing Russian, they can't be expected to read fluently. So this is content modules, and you will have a Russian language module, which is compulsory. It means you need to attend it. Even if you think you are quite fluent in Russian, we'll keep you busy. And there are elective modules, which are not compulsory, and you're looking at selection of modules that we offer at Queen Mary: history of the Russian language, or styles of Russian, or advanced oral competence. And as I say, they're not compulsory, it's up to you to choose. And I need to mention that the language degree suggests a year abroad. It's year 3 in your study. The year abroad is not compulsory for native speakers of Russian, but some of our native speakers, they prefer to go to or wherever they would like to go, and because they benefit from attending other classes in other schools in Russian universities, for example. Talking about year abroad, at the moment, because of this political situation, students for next year, we have an alternative arrangement for them, like any other British universities. They switched over to the so-called new ex-Soviet Republic. So our students going to Estonia and Latvia. We have partner universities there, and they're located, like in Latvia, there's Daugavpils, which is an area with a strong Russian community, Russian-speaking community. We are now talking with some Kazakh universities and maybe universities in Georgia, just to have them as a backup. Although we keep in touch with our partners in Russia. Normally our students go to Moscow, St. Petersburg, Kazan, and Yaroslavl, those who would like to have a taste of Russian provinces. So, but that's not compulsory for native speakers of Russian, that's their own choice. And when you are doing your Russian language module, so what it includes, here you're going to see, you will have 2 hours of Russian a week. You will have translation into English, that's a separate class, translation into Russian. In your English translation class, you're also looking into translation commentary, looking at other people's translations, and I run translation into Russian, and also I run, it's a whole semester, consecutive interpreting between English and Russian. Consecutive interpreting, as opposed to simultaneous interpreting, I hope you know that simultaneous interpreting is when you start interpreting immediately after the speaker started talking. You sit in a booth wearing headphones and immediately translating. But consecutive interpreting is something when you wait for speaker to have their say, not very long, and then you translate it into either English or Russian, can be both ways. interestingly enough, consecutive interpreting is used in like summit talks between presidents, and you can see that if the two presidents meet, like an American and Russian president, the Russian interpreter will translate into English and the American interpreter will translate into Russian. So we practice it both ways, and it's a ready professional skill. You can add in your CV that, you know what, I've had some experience of doing consecutive interpreting. Of course, if you think that this is something that you'd like to do professionally, then after graduating, after completing your undergraduate degree, you can go and take an MA in translation and interpreting. Queen Mary does not offer MA in interpreting, but other universities do, like Bath or Leeds. They have a big translation center and it's quite successful. So it's a very, very useful professional skill. Apart from oral Russian, and to improve, you also do some practice, you're mastering your academic writing in Russian. You prepare a cultural research project, which is an essay. You choose your topic, what interests you most. Maybe you're already thinking about some career in this or that area. So you're adding a contribution to your professional portfolio. You write it every year, it increases in length, and then in your oral exam you make a presentation of this research project, mastering your public speaking. So that's a structure of your Russian classes. Of course, there are exams at the end of the study year, and that's it. Not to mention that, last but not least, if there's some fun, we have a module which is called Russian plays. So students themselves, they stage and produce and act and do music and make up everything. So that's a great project, which I think we're running since I remember myself, that it means 24 years already. Very popular with students, creates a sense of community, you develop your confidence in speaking, and students are very fond of it. And of course, we always invite the public and parents come and get very proud about their kids. So, and of course, it's performed in Russian. So you see there's a picture, recent picture of a recent production, Chaika, by Anton Chekhov, the seagull. Well, this is it. And if you have any questions, I think this is the time for them. But if you think of any questions that come after the presentation, then you're welcome to contact me at this email. But now I'm ready to take questions if there are any.